I just know that you're playing Skyrim for nude mods. And you know that too, you nasty. But for everyone else, including you might be tired of playing the same game for more than a decade right now. And you want something similar to that. And here, well, we're going to be touching the games that are similar more or less to Skyrim. Yeah, just know that no two games are exactly alike. And we're going to be going through 9 games that are like Skyrim. And we're going to go through them from the least like to most like. And number 1 will disappoint you. I just know that. If you want, you can just fast forward somewhere right here, and yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, without further ado, let's just get it started. Number 9 and the least like Skyrim in this list will be Outward. What this game is doing in this list, you might say. Well, there are several reasons why you might like Skyrim, and one of them, which this game actually gave me the same feeling of, is exploration. You will never forget how you first got to Winterhold. You will never forget how you first got to Solitude. You will never forget your first encounter with Giant. And this game actually replicates those too. Yes, this game is more close to Souls-like gameplay-wise, but exploration and world is as interesting as in Skyrim. At least it was for me. Yes, the exploration and the weirdness of the world is probably the only thing that is similar to Skyrim. But yeah, trust me, this game is worth a shot, even though it's a bit too difficult to play. But getting to something that is a little more similar to Skyrim, number 8, Dragon's Dogma. Yeah, you knew that this was on a list, and you probably would be mad if it wasn't. Yes, this is more like an action combat-oriented version of Skyrim, but this is very similar in many things, while not as close in others. Let's start with a similar. Well, it's a fantasy RPG setting. The world is full of dragons and giants and trolls and all the other nasty things. And you also can have companions. But unlike Skyrim, the combat here is fast-paced and very interesting. And in my opinion, far better than Skyrim's. But one thing that this does not have compared to Skyrim is a good storytelling and a good story. Yeah, don't get me wrong, the story is good. I love Dragon's Dogma story, but Skyrim kinda hits different. Maybe I'm biased. I probably am. But if you like RPG setting of Skyrim, you will like this one too, maybe even a bit better. And moving to number 7, and at first seeming that getting closer to the similarity, but now we're gonna go way past it. We're gonna talk about Cyberpunk 2077. Some might say this is nothing like Skyrim, but I beg you to differ. I didn't say that it should be a fantasy setting, but Cyberpunk and Skyrim are more alike than you will think. Or maybe you already know that. Both have first-person gameplay, both are RPGs, and both have vast open world. Both have a dialogue system, both have different factions and different quest lines, just like each other. The one notable difference that you probably already understood is the setting. This is the futuristic setting, while Skyrim is a fantasy. Quite obvious, right? One has guns and cybernetics, other has magic. But when you play it, it might not feel exactly the same way like Skyrim, but it will feel somewhat like Skyrim. At least it did for me. And it did for some of you as well. But speaking of more feeling like Skyrim and also the last like Skyrim as well, book number 6 is Outer Worlds. This is another guns blazing game, but we're gonna get rid of this as soon as possible before we're gonna get closer to more similar games. And Outer Worlds is very similar to Skyrim as well. Even dialogue speech system is practically the same thing. You also have an open world, but rather small one compared to Skyrim. You also complete quests, you also play in a first person, but here you have also guns, because you're playing in a futuristic setting in different and other planets. Game also has a story, game also has the different choices, and overall is pretty good game, but I will have to say this is not as a good story and is not as good world building as Skyrim has. That's thing that has to be said. It will scratch your itch somehow, but it will not be scratching it for a really long time. But this game is made to be like Fallout. And speaking of Fallout, number 5. And here will be entire Fallout series, except for maybe Fallout 1, Fallout 2, and for some reason people forget about this because it should be forgotten, Fallout Shelter. And well, I mean similar to Skyrim, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, and Fallout 4. No, not Fallout 76. And why this one is like Skyrim? Well, because it is made by practically the same people, and they're utilizing almost the same systems. But the Fallout games are actually always piggybacking from the Elder Scrolls games and vice versa. And they're also using even the same engine. So if you want the naked soldiers in the bikinis, this is the first game in the list that you can do that. Or you can do it in other games as well. But this is where it's more similar to Skyrim. But which one you should play? Well, Fallout 3 is an oldest one of them all, and well, it's kind of a bit outdated for some, not for me, but it has an insanely good mod selection. And Fallout 4 is the newest one, which the only Fallout game from this that came out after Skyrim. So I would suggest you to go with the Fallout 4. But if you don't care and want something closer to Skyrim, you can go with the Fallout New Vegas as well, which has a better story, at least for me, and actually came out on a few months before Skyrim, around a year before. So it's very close. Plus, all of those games has a superb selection of mods, so you are going to enjoy this for a really long time. And the only reason why they're not higher in the list is because of their setting. But speaking of setting, number 4, Kingdom Come Deliverance. This game feels the most Skyrim, except for one thing. This game is happening in medieval Europe, in our medieval Europe. So yeah, no magic, and no orcs, and no elves, and no dragons, and no trolls, and no giants, and no mammoths. But other than that, this game feels most like Skyrim, with a dialogue system, first-person view, and with a little bit of clunky combat, which is pretty good, don't get me wrong, I like Kingdom Come combat. The game has great story, great world, and feels the most like Skyrim, except for it is a bit more difficult because of the combat. But now we got to the top 3, and this 3 should be the most like Skyrim, right? And the first one will disappoint you, right? Remember? But first we're gonna go to number 3, and it is Witcher 3. And yeah. Don't even pretend that you didn't know that this game would be on a list. You knew that. And then also know that most people who love Skyrim love Witcher 3 as well. Except for maybe you two and some people out there. And some might say, wow, this is nothing like Skyrim. You have your dialogue tree, you have your fantasy open world, even horse riding. You have a beautiful story, for me even better than Skyrim's. You have a great magical system, and only thing that is lacking, that is not in Skyrim, is first-person view, which can be fixed with mods. Yes, you can actually play first-person view with mods. Oh, of course, if you're playing on a PC. If you're playing on a console, yeah, sorry. If you're gonna install this mod, it will feel very like Skyrim. Yes, it felt a bit janky for me, to be fair, and third-person view was much better. But if that's what matters to you, you can use it with the mods. And yes, this game also have an extensive mod selection as well. Not as extensive as Skyrim, but still extensive nonetheless. But now we're gonna get to top 2, and those games are most like Skyrim because they're basically Skyrim. And number 2 is Elder Scrolls Online. And yeah, many of you won't like that this game is here, because yeah, that's an MMO, it has nothing to do with Skyrim. But hear me out. This game is an only game in this list like Skyrim where you can play in Skyrim, because this game contains almost the entire map of Tamriel. It also includes large portion of Skyrim. It doesn't include all of it, but it also includes a large portion of it. You can play with same races as Skyrim. You also have a dialogue tree, and it has even similar camera in the dialogue. You also have a magical system, which in my opinion is far superior than Skyrim's. And you have kind of similar combat as well. The only thing that you cannot do in this game is install bikini mods. That's the only thing that you cannot do. Other than that, yeah, it's practically the Skyrim. And yeah, don't get me started with, yeah, you need to play it with friends. No, you don't. This game is perfectly fine with solo. I have been playing this game for hundreds of hours without anyone. Except for random teams, because Team Finder here is good. Except for the most difficult content, but yeah, we're not gonna talk about those. And number 1, the game that is most like Skyrim, or as Skyrim as it can possibly be without being actually Skyrim, is Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Yes, I know that you did not want an older game in this list, but yeah, if you want something like Skyrim and you haven't played Oblivion, this is the most game like Skyrim. Everything that is here then was implemented into Skyrim, and for some, and including for me, Oblivion has even better story. Yes, graphically it does not look that good, but nothing that cannot be fixed with mods. Except for faces look ugly. Yes, you have a huge selection of mods, and weirdly enough, you even have a larger world than in Skyrim. Yes, Oblivion has a larger world. And with older selection of mods, which is very large as in Skyrim, this is the closest thing that you can get to Skyrim. I know that you're disappointed. I would be disappointed as well, but yeah, you want games like Skyrim. This is the game like Skyrim, with the highest similarity score. Overall, no two games are similar. If you want something exactly like the other game, you will most likely not get it, because when you get something that is very similar to the other game, you will feel cheated, and you really don't want that. So what I would suggest you to look for is some parts of the game that you like the most and then find it in other games, like in these 9 games in our list. Well, that's a bit for today. Thank you for being here with me. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe for more videos like this one, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. See ya.